All right, so I'm going to ask you guys some questions from our Chatty at Shacknews. The first question comes from Loyash Dwaggy, and his question is, what is the favorite part of adapting a character from the Blizzard canon into the game?
Out the gate, we immediately sized up all those iconic abilities, and both art and design kind of hit the mat thinking, like, how do we interpret this? How do we make this work? There's an awesome challenge there that we have to work around of a lot of our characters borrow abilities from each other across universes, and Dustin can speak to this. Like, we have to kind of pick and choose, like, okay, who gets whirlwind in what form, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, so it's a big challenge for us. I mean, the art guy is obviously trying to nail an iconic character, but kind of in a new way. Often we're seeing characters from World of Warcraft, we're suddenly seeing them top down, right? And so they got to really shine in that format. You got to be able to recognize Arthas from 30 yards up, and that's not how you're used to seeing him in World of Warcraft. So these guys work really hard on that. Well, the design staff tries to take a character like Arthas, who could really have 50 abilities, 100 abilities, and try to distill them down into 4 or 5. And so then the two teams come together and hopefully come up with something that feels like a solid representation of that character, but that works in a hero brawler game. So there's really no concept of a carry in this game because it's all shared levels, it's all team levels, and there's no gold. There's no way for you to get fundamentally ahead of your own allies. You can get ahead of the enemy team by outplaying the enemy team, and then your team becomes stronger than they are, and you can go up levels on the team. You can be level 20, that enemy team is level 17, you've got talent choices they don't have, and you've got a clear advantage. But you're never going to be the one guy alone soloing the enemy team. This is a teamwork game. You're coming together as a group to win. So we definitely have tanks, we definitely have DPS characters, we definitely have supports. We also have specialists. Because of all these rules I'm describing, where we've changed the core rules for the game, we can do things that it wouldn't be as easy to do if the rules were sort of more traditional. So we can have characters like Abathur, who's never in lane. He never fights. He can't earn anything, but there's nothing to earn. All he needs to do is support his allies, so he can infest his allies wherever they're at in the battlefield and fire skill shots off of them, give them shields, give them area effect abilities. These are powers that he has, but it's unique because he doesn't need to be in the lane trying to get gold or get kills, so he can still participate. And so this gives us these options to do some really unique things.
The Bird asks, do they have any plans to be able to pick up which battlegrounds you play? Some heroes do better in certain maps and some in the mood for a certain map, or in the mood for another. So are we able to choose those?
Right now we don't have a way for you to choose. You'll be able to go into custom game and choose your own battlegrounds once that comes online. When we have a draft mode, you will see the battleground that's been picked for you and your team beforehand, so at least you can choose the hero that you want before you go in. So if you're in a scenario where, like, well, I don't know, maybe ETC feels better to me on this map, but I got this map instead, I'm like, oh, I don't want to play ETC on this map. When you go into a really more competitive draft mode environment, you'll be able to see the map, you'll be able to see the enemy team and what they're choosing, and be a lot more strategic about the choices you can make.
Very cool. Jay Kim is asking, when will the game go open beta so all the plebeians who haven't played it yet, me, can get in and join on the fun?
Well, this is not about the haves versus the have-nots. We are in alpha, and so right now we're in a very limited server environment. We can only handle a couple of thousand people at any given time. And so we're running that right now. We're testing everything as quickly as we can while our engineers are also setting up the real live environment. As soon as we have that live environment hardware set up and we're ready to deploy, we'll move it over there and we'll be able to invite a lot more people into a closed beta at that point in time. But still alpha. We're not even close to ready for that level of playership yet. So we know that a lot of players are dying to get in. We hear you, we really do, and we're really sorry. It's not to be mean, it's just where we're at with the technology.
Of course, I'm sure everybody will understand. The next question is from D-Fay again. Why do they choose the pay-per-hero as their business model? Are they concerned that this could stifle the metagame or restrict hero design in a way that it has done with League of Legends?
I don't think we're too worried about it yet. We've got a lot of good things come out of this model for us. It allows us to reward our players for staying in games. It allows us to reward our players for winning games. And it helps the community sort of stay a little less crazy because they know they're getting something if they behave correctly. If they behave nice to one another, we can give them things as a result of that. So it gives us a lot of value. It also allows us to sort of let you evolve your hero collection as you go over time, so you're not faced with a million choices. You've got just a few choices and then you can pick your favorites. So we think it does some healthy things for the game, but we will obviously keep tuning it and polishing it and trying to find ways to make it better for our players going forward.
So Kami asks, how are they going to cater to esports players or an audience with Heroes of the Storm? Do they have plans for that?
Yeah, we do have plans. We're going to give all the features that support the esports community to this game that like we always do. There's going to be replay functionality. There's going to be all the broadcasting features in the UI that help people understand what's going on. The game will always be easy to be interpreted at a glance. We're going to set up all that stuff so if it comes to it and people want to broadcast it as an esport, all the tools will be there.
Okay, so this is from X, and I would love to know the specific mechanics in Dota/League of Legends that they don't have in Storm, and why they've chosen to diverge those two. I've heard they've tried to have faster games, and hopefully they've done some changes, other changes as well.
Well, we do have games running about 20 minutes right now, so we've definitely accomplished that goal. The number of things that are different are lengthy. I'll go through them as quickly as I can. We've got shared team levels, which means you level as a team, not as an individual, which means, again, you can do things like move from lane to lane safely without feeling like you're falling behind. Whether you want to go swap with an ally, say I'm having trouble in top, I say, hey, Phil, help me out. He and I can switch. We don't fall behind in levels because as long as we've got distribution across all the lanes, our team is leveling up correctly. We don't have a sort of generic shop that covers all heroes. We have a custom talent set per hero. So it really allows us to do some crazy stuff. So if we want to give, you know, a Nubarak +3 range as a talent, he's a melee tank. He can handle +3 range, not the end of the world. If we gave +3 range to Nova, that would break the game. So that couldn't go into a shop. It has to be sort of per character. And it lets us do some really creative things with the characters. It lets us do things like have a heroic talent choice. So you get to level 10, you don't get the heroic we give you. We give you a choice of a couple of heroics, and you can decide which heroic makes the most sense for this team composition, for this map, based on how well your allies are playing, based on how well the enemies are playing. At the same time, we don't have gold, so you don't have to earn on map. Like, I don't need to be getting last hits. So again, that allows me to play some characters that are kind of unique, that are more supporting or more PvE oriented, that aren't demanded to be out on the map constantly killing to stay in the game. We've also got battlegrounds that change the whole scope of the game. So every time you load up in the game, you can get one of 5 different battlegrounds right now. We're gonna add more battlegrounds going forward. Each of these battlegrounds provides unique mechanics to help you win. You might be on Blackheart's Bay where you're trying to collect coins, cursed treasure to give to an evil undead pirate. When you give him enough coins, he'll turn the cannons of his ship on the enemy's fortifications. You might be on Cursed Hollow, where you're trying to collect tributes for the Raven Lord, and if you collect enough tributes, the Raven Lord will curse the enemy, and their towns won't shoot, and their minions all have 1 hit point for like a minute. So it's really important to engage with these map mechanics. So all of these things lead to a game that we feel like, you get it, it plays like other games, you're familiar, but beyond that, it's a very different experience. Woo.
I know, this is the last question. I know you guys have been talking a lot today probably. So the last question comes from the Perfect Drug, and his question is, I'm interested to see if they have plans to release on console or tablets, perhaps in a simplified form like the Civ team did. I'd be interested to try a game like this, but without the deep complexity and multiplayer only.
I think console would work for us very, very well. Tablet, I think, is more challenging because you'd have your hand in the way while you're trying to control your character, but it's not impossible. We're not working on either one of those today, but we have talked about these ideas, and I agree. These are, with the person who asked the question, these are some very cool ideas that I could definitely see us exploring way down the road.